Welcome back to Consensus College Football Rankings. Today we're going to talk about a problem with the college football playoff bracket. And no, it's not that Miami or Alabama got in and Notre Dame and some other team didn't. It's about the fact that two of the first round games are rematches. Oklahoma defeated Alabama in Tuscaloosa 23-21 earlier this year. And way back towards the beginning of the season, Ole Miss beat Tulane 45-10. Now those teams have to play each other again. The committee could have seeded these teams in such a way so that they avoided rematches. And there's also going to be a big potential rematch in the second round if Ole Miss defeats Tulane again, where they will have to play Georgia a second time. So, why is this such a problem? Well, there is historically a huge advantage for the team that lost in the regular season in rematch games in the postseason. Let's review some of those. In the 1943 college football season, Texas A&M went to Baton Rouge and beat LSU by a score of 28-13. The two teams were then selected to play each other in the Orange Bowl at the end of the season. In that game, the Tigers won by a score of 19-14. In 1959, LSU beat Ole Miss 7-3. At the end of the season, Georgia was the Southeast Conference champion, but they went to play in the Orange Bowl. So the Sugar Bowl chose to have LSU and Ole Miss play each other again, with Ole Miss ranked number 2 and LSU at number 3 in the country. The rematch led to an Ole Miss win by a score of 21-0. In 1965, Michigan State won their season opener against UCLA by a score of 13-3. Both teams went on to win their conference titles and meet in the 1966 Rose Bowl, where the Bruins went up to a 14-0 halftime lead and then held on to defeat Michigan State 14-12. In 1975, Ohio State went to the Coliseum and beat UCLA 41-20 in early October. Woody Hayes told his team that they would see the Bruins again, and sure enough they did in the 1976 Rose Bowl, where UCLA scored 4 times to win 23-10 and derail the number 1 Buckeyes national championship hopes.
I'm sure that you have been advised that we have asked, as your opponent, the University of Oklahoma.
We think that the rematch will be a very exciting game and one with a tremendous amount of appeal. Hello?
In 1978, Oklahoma and Nebraska were both undefeated in conference play when OU went up to Nebraska and were driving to make the winning score when Billy Sims fumbled and the Huskers won 17-14. The Orange Bowl, taking Nebraska as the Big 8 champion winner, decided to have them play Oklahoma, and in the rematch, they opened up with a lead of 31-10 before Nebraska tried to rally, but the Sooners finished with a 31-24 victory. In 1994, UNLV went to Central Michigan, losing to the Chippewas 35-23 early in the regular season. Both teams went on to be picked for the Las Vegas Bowl, and in that game, Central Michigan turned the ball over 4 times, and UNLV, the Rebels, won 52-24. In 1996, in the final regular season game of the year, Florida State and Florida played each other. The Seminoles eked out a 24-21 win after going up 17-0 in the first quarter. The Bowl Alliance sought to place the 2 highest-ranked available teams against each other in the Sugar Bowl that year. Arizona State was number 2 and contractually obligated to play in the Rose Bowl, so Florida State and Florida found themselves in a rematch. The Gators won 52-20 and claimed their first national championship. In the 1997 season, Notre Dame was 4-5 when they went into Death Valley to take on number 11 LSU. They won 24-6 over the Tigers. The two schools were placed in the Independence Bowl, played on December 28th. And while Notre Dame took a 6-3 lead into halftime, the second half went to the Tigers, with the final score being LSU 27, Irish 9. In 2003, West Virginia went to Maryland early in the year, and the Turtles outraced the Mountaineers with a score of 31-7. Maryland and West Virginia would meet again in the Gator Bowl, and this would go almost the exact opposite, with West Virginia winning over the Turtles 41-7. In 2007, BYU lost to UCLA 27-17 in the non-conference schedule. But in another rematch in the Las Vegas Bowl at the end of the year, BYU blocked a kick late and defeated UCLA 17-16. In 2008, Wake Forest was ranked at number 15, only to be upset by Navy 24-17. The two teams would later find themselves matched in the Eagle Bank Bowl, and Wake Forest would turn the tables, scoring 4 touchdowns and winning 29-19. Also in 2008, Air Force and Houston played in Dallas in September, with the Falcons winning 31-28. The two teams would go on to meet in the Armed Forces Bowl, where it was another close game, but this time Houston won 34-28. In the 2010 season, Nebraska went on their first road game to Husky Stadium and beat Washington soundly by a score of 56-21. The 10-3 Huskers would go to the Holiday Bowl, where they would see Washington again, and the Huskies shut down the Huskers offense and won 19-7. In the 2012 BCS National Championship game, it was a rematch of Alabama and LSU. They had played in the regular season in Tuscaloosa, with the Tigers taking a 9-6 win in overtime. However, in the BCS National Championship game, it went the other way, with Alabama shutting out the Tigers by a score of 21-0. In 2012, Iowa State's first game of the season was a 38-23 win over the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Tulsa would go on to win the Conference USA Championship and a spot in the Liberty Bowl, where they would play Iowa State again. This time, it would go to Tulsa by a score of 31-17. In the 2022 College Football Playoff National Championship, we saw a rematch of Alabama and Georgia. They had played in the SEC Championship game. Alabama won 41-24. But in the CFP Championship, it went the other way, with Georgia winning 33-18. In the 2024 season, Oregon beat the Ohio State Buckeyes 32-31 at Autzen Stadium. The two teams wound up meeting again in the quarterfinals of the College Football Playoff in the Rose Bowl, and in this game, Ohio State beat Oregon 41-21. So if we look at rematches in conference championship games, the winner in the regular season in those games has a record of 40 wins and 30 losses. So the winner usually wins the second time. But in postseason games, the regular season loser has a record of 17-7. So it's clearly an advantage to the team that lost in the regular season. And in those 7 losses, most of the time the team that lost in the regular season loses by less. They close the gap even if they can't pull out the win. So it's very clear that there is an advantage to the regular season loser in postseason games, and that could be at play in these first 2 rounds in the college football playoff, as there are 2 rematches in the first round, OU and Alabama and Tulane and Ole Miss. And then in the second round, if Ole Miss beats Tulane a second time, then they will have a rematch with Georgia. And of course, Ole Miss lost that game and so would have that historical postseason advantage in the second round. We saw this last year with Oregon and Ohio State, and we could see it again. Another thing about the college football playoff bracket last year was that in every quarterfinal game, all the teams that had a first round bye lost. It will be interesting to see if that trend continues this year. So these rematch games, if we see results that don't match what happened in the regular season, I think it's something that the committee should look at going forward as far as whether they want to arrange the seating so that we avoid these rematch games. Thank you for joining us here at Consensus College Football Rankings. I hope this was interesting to you. And if we don't see you before then for anything, we will see you at the end of the year for our final Consensus College Football Rankings report. We'll see you then.